Hello, welcome to another exciting edition of Free Advice Friday, where for the next hour or so on a Friday afternoon, I am going to hang out and answer your voiceover business and marketing questions absolutely free on a Friday. Hence the incredibly creative title, Free Advice Friday. Now, before we get too deeply into the live stream and before I start answering your questions, and by the way, I absolutely want to answer your questions. If you have a question that you would like to ask and get answered, you can type a question in the comment, just put a Q beside it. But before I get into your questions, there's one thing that I want to touch on. I had the opportunity earlier this week to speak to a class for Christy Bowen from the Tennessee Voiceover Exchange, her studios. And I was talking to them about marketing. And this is a class of relatively new voice actors who are, getting started in the business, working on their coaching, their demos, all that sort of stuff. And so it's a fun opportunity to introduce them to the world of marketing, which will become an incredibly important part of their life and their business as they pursue this voiceover journey. But a really interesting question came up, which was about business cards. And I was asked, what's the number one thing? Well, what's the most important thing that goes on a business card? And the answer that I gave, it sounded probably like a sarcastic response, but it wasn't intended to be that, because it's something that gets overlooked all the time. So I painted out a scenario for them. Let's say that you are at a networking event. Maybe you go to an event with your local chamber of commerce. You're walking around the room, you're mingling, you're talking to some people, you're meeting some people, you have a chance to exchange business cards with a few people. A week or two goes by, and somebody that you handed your business card to finds it in their wallet, in their purse, in their backpack, in their fanny pouch, in their briefcase. Do people still have fanny pouches and briefcases? I don't know. Point is, they find your business card, they pull it out, and the business card says Marc Scott, and it has a phone number. And they're sitting there looking like, Marc Scott. What does Marc Scott do? Where did I meet Marc Scott? What the heck did I know I talked to him, but what did he do? One of the most overlooked aspects, not just of business cards, but of marketing collateral in general for voice actors, is telling them what you do. Part of what I offer in my coaching services is an opportunity to go through your website. People ask me often to take a look at their website, give them advice, give them feedback. And one of the very first things that I look for is, in the first 3 seconds that I'm on your website, can I tell that you're a voice actor? Do I see the words voice actor? Do I see voiceover, voice artist, whatever it is? Do I see those words on your website? Because a picture of a microphone in your logo doesn't tell me that you're a voice actor. You could be a singer. You could be a collector of rare vintage Shure microphones, because everybody uses the same clip art microphone in their website. You could be an auctioneer. A microphone doesn't tell me that you're a voice actor. So on your website, in the first 3 seconds, probably less, if I went to your website right now, would I see immediately and clearly that you are a voice actor? If you hand me your business card, is it immediately clear to me that you are a voice actor? Because here's one of the other things that I've noticed. There's a lot of voice actors out there who are registering LLCs, and that may be to your advantage depending on where you're at. I am not an accountant. This is not financial advice. I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. Whether or not you want to register an LLC, it might depend on where you're at. It could be, in Canada, we don't even have LLCs. So it might be contingent upon where you're at, what the rules are in your states, whether or not there's tax advantages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the point is, a lot of voice actors go out and they register these LLCs, and they put really fun and creative names on them. And I don't have anything against a fun and creative name in and of itself, but if you have registered your business as Wiggly Cheese Productions LLC, and you hand me a business card, and that business card says Marc Scott, Wiggly Cheese Productions LLC, a week later or 2 weeks later or a month later, when I pull out Marc Scott, Wiggly Cheese Productions. Am I going to have any idea that you're a voice actor? Am I going to remember that you are a voice actor because of the conversation that we had at the networking event? If I go to wigglycheeseproductions.com, because that's your website URL that you registered, because it's really fun and creative and cute and, it makes people laugh and smile, which is great, by the way. But if I go to wigglycheeseproductions.com and I see your name and a picture of a microphone, again, I don't know that you're a voice actor. It feels like it should be incredibly obvious, but it's not, and that's why I am stating it here right now. This is the number one piece of branding that you can include on your marketing collateral. This is more important than your logo. This is more important than your colors. This is more important than your fancy tagline. Can I figure out immediately that you are a voice actor? Whether you give me a business card, send me a postcard, direct me to your social media, I find you on social media, you come up in a Google search, you have a Google business listing, whatever it is it clear that you are a voice actor? Because then, if you send me to Wiggly Cheese Productions, then it doesn't matter. If I know if it's Wiggly Cheese Productions, voiceover services, bang. Now I know. Now I know, and that's easy, and it makes sense, but it needs to say it on the business card so that I know. So make sure that you are including those words. I mean, yes, we could argue about whether or not it's valid for SEO. Great. I mean, everybody that puts it on their website, it's pretty hard to compete on that term alone. But I'm more interested as an outsider, as the buyer, as the potential voiceover lead who's landing on your website. Yes, the argument has been made. Well, my demos are there. Well, you're assuming that I'm going to click your demos. You're assuming that I'm going to click your demos and then I'm going to put the connection together. Oh, voice actor. Assume nothing. Give me the information that I need to see. Give it to me front and center. Make it abundantly clear. Pretend that I'm stupid, that I'm brainless, that I don't have a clue. Don't make me think about it. And so this was the part of the conversation that I had in this class. And so I just wanted to point this out because it is something that does get overlooked. So you're going to go to your website. Some of you are probably doing it right now. And you're double checking to make sure that if your name is up there, right there underneath your name, it says voice actor or voiceover services or professional voice actor or professional voice artist or whatever it is that you choose to identify, but make sure that it is there so that I know who you are. So that's what I wanted to start out with. Now that we've got that out of the way, the floor is open. So I am looking forward to hanging out and answering your voiceover business and marketing questions. If there are specific things that you would like to ask and answer, this is your opportunity to do that. Again, if you just type a Q in the comments beside your question, it pops out, makes it a little bit easier for me to find it on the screen. So we start with Tony, who says, how do I find the right people to email, video producers, creative directors, etc., without throwing spaghetti at the wall? There's a few different ways that you can go about it. One of them would just be doing a Google search. So let's say, you talked about video producers. So you could do a Google search literally for the words corporate video production. And I know you're going to be like, really? That's what you got? That's the advice that you've got for me? Yes, that is the advice that I've got for you. So let's just do it here for the fun of it. Let's do a quick Google search for corporate video production and away we go. Here we go. These are all search return results for corporate video production. And so I could click on any one of these websites and I could take a look at that company's websites. And okay, so here, let's do it. There's corporate video production. Venture is their name. Crafting compelling corporate videos for B2C and B2B. That sounds like a company that is probably a solid lead for me. So I'm going to scroll through their website. I'm going to look at them, check out a little bit more about their work, maybe watch some samples from their portfolio. They got tons of videos here. They're an award-winning video production company, which is really good to know. And from there, I'm going to find a contact. So maybe I can come over here and go to About Us, 3 reasons to choose, our history. Okay, so here we go. Jonathan English and James Bryant. 2 brand-obsessed video enthusiasts who met at the University of Nottingham. Well, there you go. Now you've got everything that you need to know. You are not throwing spaghetti at the wall. And that took us, what? 30 seconds, 45 seconds with a quick Google search and clicking onto somebody's website. So it can be that easy. You can look for directories. You can do searches for video producers on LinkedIn and start sending connection requests to video producers on LinkedIn. You could do the same thing on any social media platform for that matter, because I think it's really important to remember that every one of these social media platforms are also a giant search engine. TikTok can be searched. Twitter, X can be searched. Facebook can be searched. YouTube can be searched. Facebook can be searched. Every single one of them can be searched. And so they all become a place that potentially opens you up to the opportunity to find new leads. And so that is what we are always looking for. Kim says bonus points for wiggly cheese. I don't know. I was like, what? Because I see, so here's the thing you guys don't know. When people buy courses from me, sometimes they purchase the courses from their company name. And so I see all these crazy company names come up in my PayPal. And some of them really do genuinely make me laugh. Like they make me smile. And I've reached out to people before and commented like, great name or whatever, because I think it's funny. But just remember that I may not be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together alone from the name of your studio. Now, if the name of your studio is like Big Voiceover Guy LLC, okay, well, that's pretty obvious. But, Wiggly Cheese, that could mean a lot of different things. It could be interpreted in a lot of different ways. And so I just want to make sure that you guys are giving the right information in order to give your leads what they're looking for. AJ says another VO marketing coach claimed that it could be illegal email marketing leads without their permission. I don't think I've ever heard you mention that, so I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. If a company makes their contact information public, then it is technically a gray area. But if the company makes their contact information public, and again, not a lawyer, the assumption is that they are welcoming communication. If you cannot find any information anywhere on the entire internet, anywhere, for how to reach out to a company, then that's a company that I would not be deep diving into, because if you reach out to them, then technically it could be argued that they are not accepting emails or communication because they've made it literally impossible for you to communicate with them. But if they're putting an email address on their website, if they're putting a contact form on their website, I mean, let's go back to these guys here. Let's go back to Jonathan and James. Like, contact us to find out more. There's literally an email address right there. There's a contact form right there. Like, if they are not wanting people to contact them, then my assumption would be that they would not make it possible for people to contact them. Now, what you do have to do is you have to honor requests for people to, if somebody says, I'm not interested, please don't email me any longer, remove me from your list, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think the other side of this is there's a difference between sending somebody one single email and subscribing somebody to an email list or to a newsletter. So if you find an email address online and automatically drop it into your MailChimp and then start blitzing these people, every 2 weeks with a newsletter when they have not consented to receiving that newsletter, that's a different story. But again, we're talking apples to oranges comparisons here. And so to just make the blanket statement that it is illegal to send emails, I don't think that's accurate. I think there are certain scenarios where you can, certain scenarios where you can't, and certain scenarios where it is gray area. And hopefully that answers your question. But the most important thing, as I understand it, is giving people the option to opt out or no longer receive messages. So when I reach out to somebody and they say that they're not interested, or I reach out and they say unsubscribe, well, I haven't subscribed them to anything, but I will honor that request by marking them as a dead lead in my CRM and making sure that I no longer send them any more messages. And so I think that's where you have to also be careful. Also worth noting that this other coach happens to sell a list of leads which they claim have been given permission to be contacted. Well, then that makes for a very unique value proposition for the service that they have to offer, and that probably does, speak a little bit to why they would make a statement like that. What I can tell you, and maybe I shouldn't because I don't want to jinx it, but I have never had an issue in tens of thousands of emails sent over the course of my voiceover career. Somebody forgot to put his device on silent. I've never had an issue. So there's that too. Not that that specifically means that it's legal or not legal, but just to say that I've never had an issue. And I would think if I was going to by now, I probably would have. Please don't jinx it. Please don't jinx it now that I've said that. Liz says, back to business cards. I now have a dot card, a digital card that more and more people use. Yeah, you know what? This is becoming a really popular trend. It's something actually that I did talk about in this class the other day. I'm all about the technology. I am all about the technology. I try to embrace technology in a lot of different ways. You know, I'm the guy that's been talking about AI for a while, and everybody gets really upset with me for talking about AI, and they think that it's the subject that I shouldn't be talking about, and they think that they're tools that I shouldn't be using, and all of that sort of fun stuff. I will say with the digital business card, I think there's a time and place for it. I think there's an audience for it. I think that particularly if you're reaching out to people who are a little bit younger, who have never known life without their phone, that's the way that they've always lived. That's the technology that they've always grown up with. And not to say they're the only ones. Of course, there are, people who are 65 years old and 85 years old who have embraced technology in an incredible way. But generally speaking, I think those people who have only known life on their phone and only known business on their phone would be more receptive to a digital business card. I just think about how would I feel if a complete stranger walked up to me at an event and wanted to beam something to my phone. And maybe it makes me a little bit nervous, but I think it's another tool that you can absolutely have in your toolbox. And I think that eventually it's going to be the way that we go. Probably because in Canada, they're going to ban business cards because of climate change, where, we ban everything else. And so probably at some point, they're literally going to ban them and tell us that it causes business cards cause climate change because they're printed on paper, and, paper has ink, and ink will kill the ozone layer. I don't know, whatever. So in that case, maybe we probably should all be embracing the digital business cards. It might be something to think about. Mike says, what if you can't find their email address? For the example, website only has a contact form to fill out. I always say, if the only way that they have to communicate is through a contact form, then rest assured that somebody is on the other end receiving that message. What you can do, so let's say you go to a company and all they have is a contact form. You can't find any email addresses for anybody, but you can see that Jim is the creative director, and that's who you want to reach out to. When I'm filling out that contact form, I will begin my email by addressing, "Hey, Jim." And so that way, when the contact form sends through, it's going to land in somebody's inbox, a gatekeeper of some form or fashion. That gatekeeper is going to see, "Hey, Jim," and be like, "Oh, this is for Jim." And then they're going to forward it off to Jim. And then if Jim decides that he wants to reply, Jim is going to reply to me, and he's going to reply to me directly. And now I have Jim's email address. And that works. And I have booked work doing that in the past. So if the only method of communication is the contact form, do not hesitate to use it. Just make sure that you send a really great message and try to do your best to direct it to the most appropriate person. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Andrew says, I recognize email, cold calls, socials, and auditions as forms of cold outreach. What other forms of cold outreach have you found effective? In-person networking can be effective if you can get connected to the right people. So look at opportunities that exist in your own community. If you live in a town or a city with a chamber of commerce or a small business association, entrepreneurial groups. If you live in a larger place where conferences happen, one of the things that I always say is go where your buyers are. Go where your buyers are. Voice actors love hanging out with other voice actors, and why not? We're cool. But sometimes you got to hang out with your buyers. And so go to VO Atlanta, learn all the things, spend all that amazing time with all of those amazing coaches and mentors, but then try going to an e-learning conference if you're interested in e-learning. Try going to an audiobook conference if you're interested in audiobooks. Look for a video production conference where you can go and maybe meet up with some producers who are doing commercials or corporates or whatever, and you might be the only voice actor in the room. And then you can walk around with your business card which has, Wiggly Cheese Productions LLC, but it also says voiceover on it. Or you can have your dot card on your phone or whatever, and make some connections. And so I think that's another thing that is often overlooked is getting out and meeting people. I think that you can walk down the street, depending on the town that you live in. And I know voice actors who have done this, and they just knock on doors and walk into the doctor's office and ask him if he could use an IVR greeting, or walk into the local dealership and ask them who does their commercials, or, walk into, if there's like a small to mid-sized company in your town, you walk in the door there and say, hey, do you guys produce training videos for your staff to watch, and ask them who produces those training videos. And so I think I think that's an option. I think there's certainly a case to be made for that. All right, let's see. What else? I have a QR code on my business card. And you know what? I am a big fan of this. Apparently this makes me old. I didn't know that. I've been told this because QR codes aren't cool anymore. But look, my name is Marc Scott, and it's Mark with a C. Okay. So if I tell somebody to go to marcscottvoiceover.com, the very first thing they're going to do is type in MARK. They're not going to find my website. And so, and yes, I did used to own that domain, and then it accidentally expired, and then I lost it and crap. But anyway, so if I have a QR code and I can send them straight where I want them to go, to me, it makes life so much easier. I don't know why people are so anti-QR code, but I absolutely have no issue with a QR code going on to your business card. I did postcards at VO Atlanta that were for VOpreneur. They were marketing for VOpreneur, and I offered a free download, and I used a QR code on those postcards, and that QR code went straight to the free download. I did banner ads, like those, roll up banner things that, if you're at VO Atlanta, you might have seen them. There was a QR code on that you could scan, and it would take you to a free download. So I think QR codes on a business card are a smart thing. Canadians can just start giving out plastic bags and straws with business cards. Let me tell you something. If you handed me a package of plastic straws, you would immediately become my favorite person in the world, because there are few things that I loathe more in this world than trying to drink a Dr. Pepper at a restaurant through a stinking paper straw. So you know what? Branded plastic straws in Canada could actually be one of the most effective pieces of marketing swag that anybody's handed out. Samantha, I invite you to go onto a website like 4imprint or something like that, and see if you can find plastic straws, and you get some packages of branded plastic straws made up, and you send them out to people, and I'm telling you, they are going to love you for those. Absolutely. How about your pickup truck and you standing in the back with your horn? Look, one of the things that I've joked about in the past, I teach a class. It's called 101 Ways to Find VO Leads. And it's a really great class. And if you are struggling with where to come up with voiceover leads, I actually would encourage you to take the 101 Ways to Find Voiceover Leads class. If you go to VOpreneur.com, click on the store button, and just scroll down here, you'll see it. 101 Ways to Find Voiceover Leads. And what this class is exactly what the title says. It's me for 2 hours giving you, it actually ended up being 122 different ways to find voiceover leads. So if you do struggle with this class, 2 hours, 122 ways to find voiceover leads. But one of the ones that I put in there, going back to Julie talking about getting in your pickup truck, one of the things that I talked about was, what if you entered a parade? What if you put your vehicle in the parade and you bannered up your vehicle and you put it in the parade? Or what if you did like your Santa Claus parade in your town, and you put a microphone and a speaker in the back of a pickup truck, and you got a banner that has your website or your URL, your wigglycheesellc.com website on it, and you stood in the back of that truck, and while you were driving around the parade route, you read The Night Before Christmas. Why couldn't you do that? It's like a free audition for your entire town. They get to hear you, and they get to see the banner on your truck. I'm still waiting for a voice actor to do it. Nobody, and maybe they have, and they just haven't sent me the pictures yet. I always encourage that, if you do it and send me video or send me pictures. But 101 ways to find voiceover leads. That class at VOpreneur.com will give you a ton of ideas of places that you can find leads and ways that you can always be on the lookout for it. Part of it is a mindset thing. I am constantly paying attention to what's going on around me, thinking, hey, I wonder if that company uses voiceover, or wonder if they could use voiceover. And so it's something that I think about a lot. Andrew says QR codes belong on business cards. I'm just tired of scanning them at restaurants for menus. Amen, brother. I feel you on that one. I absolutely feel you on that one. I am completely in agreement. All right, Mike says, when personalizing outreach emails, what's your approach to personalizing them without sounding cheesy and generic? So, Mike, I think the most important thing here is defining the word personalize. It's the word that I use all the time, and I know that it's the word that I use all the time because I'm not sure what a better word is. But let's say that you're sending your email to Lisa. I'm not saying that you got to deep dive into Lisa's life and background and find out things about Lisa so that you can make a personalized email to Lisa. What I'm saying is do a little bit of research on the company that Lisa works for. And when you send that email to Lisa's company, make sure that there's something in that email that speaks to the fact that I know about your company. I understand the work that you do. I know what you're doing and how I can offer value. And so that makes the email more personalized rather than just the, hi, my name is Mike and I'm a voice actor and I do voiceover from my home studio. And you can listen to my demos at, wigglycheeseproductionsllc.com. And right, that's the generic message. And so I think taking the time to find out a little bit about the company and making sure that the message is tailored to the company, I think is really important. Again, welcome to Free Advice Friday. For those of you that are jumping in a little bit late, wondering what's going on, if you've got a question that you would like to ask, I am here to answer those questions for you. Simply put a Q beside your comment when you type it, and I will keep an eye out for your question to pop up in the chat. I'm certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can for the next little bit here. So don't be shy. If there's a voiceover business and marketing question that you want to ask and get answered, this is your opportunity to do it for Free Advice Friday. Mike says, I have 4 notebook pages filled with Marc's 122 ways. So there you go. 101 ways to find voiceover leads. Pick it up now. VOpreneur.com. I'll tell you what, you know what I'm going to do? You guys have inspired me. Watch this. This is the beauty of live TV on the internet. I'm going to create a coupon code right now, okay? I am literally going into my system. That's why I'm looking over this way. I'm going into my system right now. Single coupon code, FAF 15%. I'm going to give you 15% off. It's good till tomorrow. 15, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to do FAF 20. I'm going to give you 20% off. All right? We're going to give you 20% off. Hang on. I'm doing it right now. Continue. Please stand by. 101 ways. This is live. This is live TV on the internet. Okay. Live. FAF 20. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake on that. Hang on. Let me see if it'll fix it. It won't let me. I got to delete it and start again. It only went to 18% off. Hang on. I'm going to fix it right now. New coupon code. FAF 101%. Off. Clicking it through. 20% off. Here we go. It's good till tomorrow. Okay. 101 ways. 101 ways to find VO leads. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, so there's the coupon code. Let me get you a link. Please stand by. Discount link, copy, pasting it in the chat. There it is right there. Boom. Okay, now if you click that link, just for being here on Free Advice Friday, and now that we were talking about it, this is literally happening live. Click that link that I just put in the chat. You can buy 101 ways to find VO leads right now, 20% off. It's good until tomorrow. You can start watching the class immediately as soon as you pick up the class. The video is available for instant viewing. So for those of you that are interested, now that we've been sitting here talking about it, click that link that I just dropped in the chat. Save 20%. Pick up your copy of 101 ways to find VO leads. All right, here we go. Quick question. Why do we do this to ourselves? Real question. Is there a perfect way to open a cold email? If it's using a peppy one-liner or just straight to the facts, ma'am. I think that the first thing that people are going to read is going to be the deciding factor in whether or not they are going to read the rest. It's your hook. So that first sentence or two of the email, that might be all that they read. So if you keep that in mind when you're writing it, it's going to help you to think about, okay, if I received this email, if this email landed in my inbox, would I read past this first sentence? Or would I read the next paragraph? So how are you going to hook them? So you hook them, I think, through personalization. But let's take that a step further. Is it personalization by speaking a fact? Is it personalization by being relatable? Is it personalization by making someone laugh? Is it personalization by making someone smile? Is it personalization by finding a connection that ties you together? And so I think there's a lot of different options that are available on that front. But I definitely think that that opening sentence needs to be something that's going to hook them and make them want to read the rest. And so if the opening of your email is, hope you're doing well, which statistically speaking, unofficially, is the #1 opening line of the marketing emails that I see from voice actors prior to working with them in a coaching session. Hope you're doing well. If I open an email and it says, hope you're doing well, the very first thing I assume is this is a generic message, and 9 out of 10 times I am not reading any further. But if I'm a production company and I've worked with 127 clients on 816 videos, and I have that on my website, and I read an email and it says, hey, Mark, 127 clients and 816 videos is an absolutely epic accomplishment. Now I'm like, okay, I want to know more about what this person has to say. And so then I'm going to keep reading. So think about that. What would hook you and make you keep reading? You got seconds, literally seconds, to get somebody, to get their attention and to convince them to keep going. Literally seconds. And so keep that in mind. Hope that answers your question, by the way. All right, let's see. What else is going on in here? Want to remind you guys too, Voiceover Marketing Playbook is coming back. I have never released Playbook in July. But I have had a lot of people saying, I don't want to wait. 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 So I listen to the people. So Playbook is going to come out. It's going to be a limited release. It will be available from July 9th to the 12th. But, because there's always got to be a but wait, there's more. If you go to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com, voiceovermarketingplaybook.com, you could sign up for a wait list. And on that wait list, you will get access to a free download. This is what the page looks like right now, voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. You get access to a free download called 6 Simple Marketing Tips. And you will be the only ones, the people who sign up for this wait list will be the only ones that will be informed of an exclusive pre-sale offer for Playbook, which is going to add massive value to the course. And that is an offer that will be made public only to people on the wait list July 8th. So if you are interested in Playbook, you want to get a crazy good pre-sale offer with some massive value added. I'm talking like hundreds of dollars in additional added value. I am not going to publicize that to anywhere except people who are on the wait list. So you might want to get on the wait list. You can do that at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com to get signed up. All right. Tim says, any advice on how to pitch my American accent voice work to international medical equipment manufacturers, ads, explainers, or medical schools for English language learning? I guess it depends entirely on what your definition of American accent is, but I would say that there are a lot of companies that are multinational. And so having an English voice, I mean, I do English voiceovers for the list of countries that I have done English voiceovers in: Germany, France, the UK, Spain, Italy, Dubai, Jordan. I mean, tons. I can't even think of all of them. But and most of the time they are for American companies who are doing, they're multinational companies, and they've got offices, or they sell their product in these other countries or whatever, or they've done, they're doing multiple versions of a video or multiple versions of a product. So in Spain, there's one done in Spanish, or in Italy, there's one done in Italian, or in Germany, there's one done in German. And then I do the English version of it. And so the value proposition is, it's not a hard one to come up with if you are reaching out to the right companies. I think there's absolutely a use case for English narration in a lot of countries, a lot of overseas countries. But again, it would come back to accent. I think the more neutral your American accent is, the better, right? If you sound like you're from the Bronx, or you sound like you've got some serious Southern drawl, or you sound like you're from Chicago or whatever. Like if you've got a more noticeable accent, that might play against you. But if you've got just that more neutral kind of sound, I think that there's absolutely an opportunity to do it. All right, let's see. What else you guys want to ask? What else can I answer for you? If you've got a question, don't be shy. This is Free Advice Friday. The whole point of this is for me just to hang out, ask your questions, give you answers. That's it. That's the premise. If you are enjoying the live stream, I would ask if you could just hit that like button. I would certainly appreciate that. I like to try to get as many likes on here as possible. It helps YouTube show me a little bit of love. And certainly don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified whenever I go live. So I would appreciate that. So give me a like, give me a subscribe, and give me a question. What voiceover business and marketing questions can I answer for you? Something else I was going to mention, I shared this with my mastermind group. It is not too soon to start sending summer out of office notices. So, particularly for those of you that are in the United States, for a lot of you, school has already let out. So vacation season is kind of already underway. If you have plans to travel for the summer, and maybe you've got, July 4th weekend is coming up. Maybe you're going to have limited availability during July 4th, or maybe you already know what your summer vacation plans are. It is not too soon to send that email. Just remember that it's how you send the email that matters. And so when I send an email like that, I'm always making it from the client perspective, or from the prospect's perspective of, I don't want this to mess up your life. I don't want this to mess up your schedule. So I want to let you know when I'm going to be available so that we can collaborate on your project and getting it done and out the door before I head out the door, type deal. So it is not too soon to send those emails. And that is an email that I think that you can send to all of your clients. And I would start with all of your clients first. And then I think that's also an email that you could send to prospects, the people who have expressed an interest in working with you, but aren't working with you yet. And so I would certainly encourage you to be thinking about that. And let's just say, for the fun of it, that you're not going away until, August or later in August. Then no worries. Send it now. And then a week or two before you go, just send a quick reminder. But summer vacation season is absolutely upon us, so it is something to think about. Oh, well, there you go. Julie just asked, how do you handle out of office time? That's one of the ways that I handle out of office time. So use that as an opportunity to reach out to your clients and your prospects and bring yourself back top of mind again. Bobby says, what are you barbecuing and smoking these days? I have an 11-pound bone-in pork butt that is going on the smoker probably about 7 o'clock tonight. I got a family reunion that I'm going to tomorrow, and so I'm going to be taking pulled pork. I was actually hoping to get, a 13 or 14 pounder, but wasn't able to get one this time. So I've got an 11 pounder. That'll still be good. So I will be injecting that shortly after this live stream. Let that kind of soak for a little bit, and then, like I said, probably about 7 o'clock tonight. I'm guessing it's going to be 16 to 18 hours on the smoker. So praying that the rain does not come, because there's been rumors of rain and possibly severe weather tonight, and I would very much like to not be sitting outside smoking in the middle of a thunderstorm. So fingers crossed, and say a prayer for me if you're a praying kind, that I can get that done, and we'll have some delicious pulled pork with some homemade Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce, because of course, what else would I serve with my pulled pork other than homemade Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce? So that's what's on the smoker. That's what's going on this weekend. All right, let's see. How to market as a new voice actor with any client list, asking for a friend. Nobody cares, Mike. Nobody cares. And I don't say that to be rude. I say that to be encouraging. What they care about are your demos. That's the most important thing. If your demos are great, that's the most important thing. In all the years that I have been doing this, I have never not one time have I been asked, how many years have you been doing this? How much experience do you have? Can you please send me a list of clients that you've previously worked with? Not one time in my entire career. Nobody cares. So as long as you have great demos on your website, then just mark it away. Mark it away. All right, let's see. Matthew says, production timelines for seasonal work can vary by market for Halloween, Christmas, etc. Have you found what is a good time for producers? Okay, so honestly, I was in Hobby Lobby. I was in the United States, 2 weeks ago, I think. My mom and I went for the day, and we went into Hobby Lobby, and they already had a good chunk of their Christmas stuff out. I'm not even exaggerating. There was a whole bunch of center aisles filled with pumpkins and Charlie Brown, Snoopy, Thanksgiving type stuff. And then there were aisles upon aisles upon aisles of Christmas stuff, and boxes upon boxes upon boxes of Christmas stuff that was getting prepared to be put onto the shelves, which, kind of made me happy a little bit, because I came home and I was like, told my wife, I'm like, can I put up the tree? Is it too soon to put up the Christmas tree? It's one of those things where I would not be actively marketing Christmas to my clients at this point. However, I also think that there's a use case for a seasonal themed demo of some form or fashion. If you've done work like that in the past, can you put together some Halloween stuff? Can you put together some Christmas stuff? Can you put together some back to school stuff? I mean, back to school promotion starts before the kids even get out of school. Back to school stuff started here a month ago. Like literally, I saw a back to school sale a month ago, and I'm like, but my kids don't even get out until the end of June. Like they're not even done yet, and you're already trying to send them back. So some of that stuff starts sooner and sooner and sooner, which makes it harder to be on top of. But I think that having something that can showcase your ability to do that can be helpful. And as the dates get a little bit closer, I don't think there's anything wrong with incorporating some of that into your marketing materials, particularly social media content. I think it can make for some good social media content. As a beginner, should I use GarageBand as a DAW? GarageBand, Reaper, Twisted Wave, Audacity, Pro Tools, Adobe Audition. At the end of the day, they all do the exact same thing when it comes to cutting up audio. The difference for any of them is obviously in the tools that are on top of that. So some of the post-production stuff, compressors and equalizers and filters and noise reduction and all of that sort of stuff. So can you cut up basic auditions in GarageBand? Sure you can if you have to, if that's what you got to work with. Absolutely, you can do it. You just won't get access to some of the extra tools on top. Nevin just mentioned in the chat, and I think it's valid, Reaper and Audacity are both free. Those are both free options that do a lot of good things. And so you could certainly play around with either one of those. And I would say that there's no shortage of places where you can go online to learn Reaper or Audacity. Uncle Roy teaches Audacity. Tim Ratledge and Steven Gonzalez, who are both voice actors, I know both of them teach Reaper, and create content around Reaper. And so there's definitely tools that can help you to learn both of those. So can you use GarageBand? Yeah, for the most basic editing, cutting out your mistakes and things of that nature, piecing together a cohesive file. Yes. Are there better options that are going to give you access to more bells and whistles? Yes. And you might want some of those bells and whistles for doing some more basic cleanup on the audio that you are creating. So that would be something to keep in mind. But do you have to go out and, fork over the cash for Pro Tools or Adobe Audition or whatever? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not in my opinion, anyway. Says the guy who uses Adobe Audition, to be clear. But I've been using Adobe Audition forever. It's what I know. It's what I'm comfortable with. Plus, I also use other tools from Adobe. I use Premiere for the podcast. I use Firefly. I use Photoshop. So a bunch of those different things. Can you give those names again? Uncle Roy, who I'm surprised is not watching today, but I know he's actually in Canada. I actually had lunch with Uncle Roy yesterday in Toronto. Uncle Roy teaches Audacity. Tim Ratledge and Steven Gonzalez. Hang on, let me find Tim Ratledge. Here's his website. I'm going to put it in the chat here. And hang on, I'm going to find Steven Gonzalez. This is Steven's voiceover website, but he does teach Reaper, and he does have a course on Reaper. You could reach out to him and inquire with him for more information on that, but I'm putting it in the chat here. Hang on. There we go. Okay. And Uncle Roy is Antland Productions. There you go. Those are in the chat. All right, let's see. What else is going on? What else can I answer for you guys? Anybody got any other questions? Any business and marketing related questions that I can answer for you? Don't forget, for those of you that are jumping in late, 101 ways to find VO leads. There's the coupon code. You stick that coupon code in, and you are immediately going to get 20% off just for being here on the live stream. You are going to have so many ideas for ways to look for voiceover leads when you are done with that course. I'm not even kidding. Like literally 122 of them. 2 hours of me just dropping ideas of where to look for voiceover work and ways to find voiceover leads. But there's that link if you want to grab that class. Samantha says, as a newer VO, is it better to avoid branding yourself? I think that brands can evolve over time. I don't know that I have ever settled on a brand for myself, honestly. I think there are things that are associated with me that have become part of my brand. Dr. Pepper, barbecue, Red Sox, marketing. These are all things that I think have become associated with me and become part of my brand. Do I, tie those into my voiceover business in any particular way? No, not necessarily. Orange, obviously, is tied into my brand. I mean, it's, my studio, literally. That's the booth. Like, it's literally painted orange. The VOpreneur logo, there's orange in the logo. So, I mean, there are certain things that are certainly part of my brand. But have I ever just sat down and built one clear, cohesive brand? No. Should I? Probably, yes, of course. But I haven't, and I've still been, still done okay. But I think with any of this stuff, nothing is final. I've had 200 versions of my website in the past. I've changed my domain in the past when I've changed my mind or learned something new. So I think there's nothing. What I would say is if you have an idea of where you want to go with a brand, there's nothing wrong with using that idea, but recognizing that if you change it in a year because you're in a different place or your priorities are different or you've learned new things that have made you better or whatever, like there's nothing that says that your brand is permanent. Like we are not Dr. Pepper, right? If Dr. Pepper changes the name of the pop tomorrow, I'm going to be pretty upset about it. Okay. But they've been around forever and they're kind of a big deal. I'm not a big deal. Like nobody cares if I change my brand. If I change my logo tomorrow, I can promise you that 0% of my clients will notice that I change my logo tomorrow. Do you want to know how I know? I have had about 100 versions of my logo and nobody has ever noticed. So I would say don't think that you have to get it right the first time out of the gate and let that keep you from doing anything, because I don't think that that's the way that it works. Thanks, Mark, for Fridays. Thanks, everyone else, for chiming in, and congrats on the new jelly bean. Yes, she is upstairs sleeping right now. Otherwise, I would have brought her down and brought her on the show. But I know a lot of you come in hopes that you are going to get to see her. Some of you probably in hopes that you're going to get to see her, more so in hopes that you're going to get to see me and, have me answer your questions. That's okay. That doesn't bother me. She's very cute. I understand. See the cue regarding logo above. Oh, okay. I must have missed one. Hang on. Scrolling. Here we go. Shelly says, what are your thoughts on a logo, and should it be your name or a brand name? You are branded as the VOpreneur, not Marc Scott. Okay, so VOpreneur is actually the coaching. Okay, so my business is Marc Scott VoiceOver. When I'm marketing for my voiceover services, I market as Marc Scott VoiceOver. If you go to my website, the logo, as it were, is Marc Scott VoiceOver. VOpreneur is the branding for my coaching, which, by the way, to what we were just talking about, for years, for those of you that have been around for a while, for years it was Marc Scott Coaching. Everything was Marc Scott Coaching. And VOpreneur was just a brand identity that I had had never really fully integrated. Why? Because I'm an idiot sometimes. Like, look, I'm still figuring this out right along with you guys. I still make mistakes too. And I remember I booked a coaching session with Celia Siegel. I think it was probably around the beginning of 2023. It might have been the end of 2022, but I think it was around the beginning of 2023. I booked a coaching session with Celia Siegel, and I said, look, I got this VOpreneur thing, and I've been sitting on it for a while. I got it trademarked, and what am I missing? And she's like, well, why do you call your coaching Marc Scott Coaching? And I'm like, I don't know. She's like, why isn't it VOpreneur? I don't know. And so then it became VOpreneur. And so that's a great example of, branding can change over time. Nobody stopped following me because I stopped using Marc Scott Coaching and started using VOpreneur. I'm answering two questions at the same time. But anyway, I just want to point out, when we have this branding conversation so that we understand context. But to go back to your original question, Shelly, about logos, I do think that your logo is part of your identity. And so let's go back to the very beginning of the episode when we were talking about Wiggly Cheese Productions, LLC. If your company name is Wiggly Cheese Productions, LLC, and your logo is wigglycheeseproductionsllc.com, does that tell me that you're a voice actor? Does that tell me that you do voiceover? Now, if your logo was Wiggly Cheese Productions, LLC, and the logo included you, a cartoon version of you in a studio with a cheese hat on in front of a microphone, then maybe that would say voiceover. But I think the most important thing, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think the most important thing is that it makes it clear who you are and what you do. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, logos can change. This is the second iteration of the VOpreneur logo, the one that's on the screen right now, because I got the first one created in a hurry a few years ago. I didn't really know what I wanted. I wasn't really sure about it, and got it created, and then decided that it was boring, but never did anything about it. So then I worked with a graphic designer for a couple of months. We built a new logo. I've had so many versions of my Marc Scott voiceover logo, honestly, and most of them are terrible. I'm not going to lie to you, but that's because on the voiceover side, nobody cares about my logo. Nobody cares about my logo on the voiceover side. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have one. Maybe if I had a better logo, maybe people would care, but really that's not why they're hiring me, right? At the end of the day, they're hiring me because of my voice, and my voice sounds good. I mean, to them, they think my voice sounds good. So that's what I'm more concerned with. Does that answer your question, Shelly? I know I kind of went all over the place there because we got a few different things that are all kind of interconnected, and I kind of was tying them all together there. Are you experiencing client requests asking for sessions with video? Do you have something in your client paperwork about the use of still images? Video is adjacent to voiceover work. If my client wants to do a session on camera, I don't care. I really don't. Most of them don't seem to ask. Some of them we do it on camera just because, I don't know, it's more of a personal, I can see like Free Advice Friday would have a totally different dynamic if I could pull you guys up on the screen and have you there and we could look at each other like we were in a Zoom session or something like that. But it's not something that, I've never contractually written in for video sessions or non-video sessions or anything, but I think maybe you're asking two different things there. So do you have something in your client paperwork about the use of still images or video as adjacent to voiceover? So, if your concern is that your clients might be using your image or your video, then that's a different story. That's a different conversation. And that's something that I would want to include, certainly in some sort of agreement. But I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm naive. I don't think any of my clients care. I certainly don't think any of them are using my still image for anything. I feel fairly confident that I am not the background wallpaper on any of my clients' desktop computers or iPhones, but you never know. You never know. Maybe back in the day when I was on the fire department and there was pictures of me in uniform, but highly unlikely. But yeah, no, if you're worried about protecting your image or your likeness, that's a different story, Matthew. Yeah. And then for sure I would want to include something. But if it's just that they're doing a directed session and they just ask to have you on camera, it might just be because they want to see your smiling face. And look, it's not possible for everybody either. Not everybody's got a booth that's set up for that. And it's okay to say that too. And some days my system is just not working for one reason or another. I've made a change or I've set it up for something different and a client comes on. I said, hey, I'd love to be able to do that session with you on Zoom. Just so you know, I can't do camera today, technical difficulties or whatever. And I've never had anybody say, well, in that case, we're not doing the session. So, I don't think it's that big of a deal. All right, what time is it? Holy mackerel, it's 1:57. Time flies when you're having fun and answering voiceover questions. I got time for one more. If somebody wants to ask one more question, by the way, guys, before you wrap this up, hit that like button for me, please. I would certainly appreciate it if you haven't hit it already. If you have hit it already, don't hit it again because it'll take your like away, I think. So don't do that. But if you do have one more question, if somebody's got a final question they would like to ask, I'm certainly happy to answer it for you. Don't forget to check out the new episode of the podcast, Rest in Peace, Generic Marketing. It's true. It's a short episode, but it's an important episode. And you're going to want to listen to it and pay attention to what I talk about in it because the end of generic marketing is upon us, courtesy of some updates and changes that are coming with AI. And I know you guys are all tired of talking about AI, but look, you got to pay attention to what's going on. Shelly says, do you have multiple agents? I do. I have 3. I have 1 in Canada and 2 in the United States. And that's all that I can handle. I know there are other voice actors. I know some voice actors that literally have dozens. Like they literally collect agents. And if you have the capacity to audition that much, go for it. As long as there's not conflicts. I would never encourage, like multiple agents in the same region or anything like that. Like don't go for 2 LA agents or, don't go for 2 agents in the North Midwest or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like try to avoid overlapping regions. But certainly if you have the capacity to do the auditions and you've got agents that'll take you on, there's nothing wrong with having multiple agents, I don't think. All right, everyone. I got to jump out because I got a coaching session at 2:15 that I got to get ready for. But thank you for joining me on Free Advice Friday. As always, it's fun to hang out and answer your questions and see what's going on and what you guys are thinking about, and hopefully able to help and add a little bit of value to you and to your business today. Don't forget, if you are interested in that 101 ways to find VO leads course, if you go to VOpreneur.com, click on the store button. There it is, 101 ways to find VO leads. The coupon code is FAF101. And there you go, 20% off. Or you can click the link that was in the chat. That is good until tomorrow. So if you want to save a little bit of money on that class and come up with a whole bunch of new ways to find voiceover leads this weekend, there you go. Go for it. All right, everybody. Got to go do a coaching session and then get ready to smoke a pork butt. That's an interesting sentence. Whatever you are doing this weekend, though, have fun, stay safe, and as always, go find some leads.